I think the friend is just playing a prank on you and giving everyone a different name for the business. Probably, yeah. It's amusing. Yeah, one thing I could definitely do is just be slower. Especially with the green washer, because it definitely has the, like, size that I need. But going too fast doesn't work. That's why I was liking the orange-yellow one earlier. Because for the most part, that's, like, functionally infallible. I'd say no wood chips are going away because people keep hurting themselves on it. Yeah, I didn't exactly ever hurt myself on the wood chips, but every once in a while, like, I'd fall on my ass and they'd get stuck in my hands. Not, like, badly, but it would hurt. I think I'm kind of ambivalent. As long as it's relatively eco-conscious or eco-friendly, I don't really care. Like, that's the one thing. It's like, safety standards in a playground is probably paramount, but I definitely would like to make sure that it's not, like, made out of some gross thing that's not good for, you know, the local wildlife, or, you know, is not eco-conscious in the way it was made. Is the thing that makes the dirty stuff a button press? Oh, yeah, it's tab. I probably shouldn't be pressing it so much, but, like, when I've almost cleared out a spot, it's kind of nice to just, like, flash it a couple of times. Damn it. Getting the inside of that netting is going to be tough. Boy, these levels take a while. Like, I was really hoping I'd be pressure washing. I mean, realistically, I can just stop whenever I want. But I like the van because it was just like a one-off, or like a singular structure thing. This is an endurance test, and what? This is our 4th job? Yeah, this is our 4th job. I can't imagine what some of the later levels are going to be like. Then again, I'll have better tools for it, so maybe it speeds up tremendously. What are you talking about? I love playgrounds made out of nuclear waste. I'm mostly just thinking in terms of, like, plastic versus, like, the recycled plastic stuff. Like, there's kind of like a type of fake wood that is made out of recycled plastic. And my parents replaced their deck with that stuff, and it has been, really nice. I'm sure, like, most decking material is fairly fine, but just ever since they got that, the deck has been just so much easier to manage. I remember years ago, and I know it's completely unfeasible from, like, a practical level, but there was talks of having these, like, hexagonal, like, solar panels that you'd replace roads with. And I always thought that was the coolest shit ever in terms of, like, you know, roads are these just absolutely massive things. Like, they take up so much space, and they do almost nothing for humanity. And, well, I mean, apart from, like, facilitate our transport. But they're not good for the environment, and they waste a lot of space, and so on and so forth. And so there was, like, this whole thing about solar roads. And I thought it was really cool, purely from, like, a dreaming of a greener future thing, just in terms of, like, hey, what if we took every single road and turned it into effectively a solar farm? Like, how great would that be? And, like, I still kind of think that would be incredibly cool, even if it is unfeasible. Yeah, the upkeep makes them a worse cost and environmental-wise than normal roads. Yeah, I think rooftops are kind of the better choice. Because way less upkeep on a roof. I also want to see, like, more businesses with, like, gardens on the ceiling. You know, you see all of these, like, really blocky office complexes with these You know, very nice manicured green spaces around them, but then you get up to the rooftop and it's just nothing. It's like, no. Put like, what are they called? Effectively, like, mesh nets with, flowers and, like, ivy growing up them, to keep the sides of the buildings cooler, and then, like, cover the top in, green and leafy stuff, either, like, basic gardening or trees and stuff. Or just moss. Yeah, moss, clover, doesn't really matter. Because, like, baseline that keeps the building cooler and is less wasteful. Maybe even just, like, Zen garden stuff. And, like, an eating area. Because I've worked at a number of places that, like, had so much wasted space. Is this one? Yeah, did I already clean this one? I did. Okay. I really should have probably cleaned the rest of this while I was here, but still. But it's so much wasted space just in terms of, like, their immediate surroundings. Wow. Okay. I was not done with that, but I'll take it. Yeah, wasted space in terms of their immediate surroundings and the parking lot and the rooftop and so on and so forth. And it's like, it would be so nice if there was just, like, something better than this. Okay, now we're going to start dinging pretty hard. There we go. Alright, tower. Gonna be the inside of that. Because yeah, we've cleared out most of the outside of these locations. Let's see, nothing on the inside. I guess I'll work on this bridge while I'm here. There we go. Kind of there we go. Did I already get that? Yeah, I already got that. Why is this game so satisfying? There's something actually very, I'm gonna say kind of ASMR-y about the power washer's noise. Just the all the time. It almost kind of reminds me more of a sprinkler than a power washer because I've got it turned down so much. One of my favorite times to go walking around my neighborhood is generally at about 10 or 11 at night. It's when all the sprinklers are going, so they don't waste a whole lot of water to, you know, it's evaporating in the sun. And it sounds almost exactly like that. And it's just, like, especially on a really quiet night, when we don't have assholes, like, drag racing, and down, you know, down the main road where near where I live. You know, if we don't have those people going around, it can just sound so peaceful walking generally down the middle of the street with sprinklers on both sides. If it's really hot, I walk through the sprinklers, but usually it's pretty chilly in the evenings around here. In my city, there's rising awareness of green roofs, but it's always too expensive for the owners to convert. I feel like it wouldn't be that expensive to go for, like, a light green roof. It would be a lot harder for, like, a full-on, like, tree-style green roof, but I bet you could absolutely have just, like, a small garden up top. And, like, moss, especially. What I want to see, though, more of is those, like, kind of vertical planters going up the sides of buildings with, like, with whatever growing up the sides of those. I feel like that would be just a really nice aesthetic, too. Just seeing a bunch of green in cities, because cities are always, like, so grungy and dirty and gross looking, and the buildings are always so, like, weirdly monolithic. And, like, I don't know. One thing I would love to see is, like, billboard advertising just go away and be replaced by, like, vertical planters or something. It would never happen, but I would love to see, you know, maybe like 1 or 2 jumbotrons in a downtown area in like New York or something, but then you have this like absolutely massive let's see, you have this absolutely massive, you know, series of kind of sideways and like, or sideways climbing gardens and hanging gardens and stuff. Yeah, billboard green wall would be so nice. Yeah. Because, like, I'm sure advertisements work, but and I'm sure they're actually worth it to the companies, but I don't think they're worth it to humanity. And having, you know, these kind of nice vertical flower gardens that kind of maintain themselves would just be so cool. Problem is not like you just put plants up there. The cost in reinforcing the roof for the added weight and the proper water runoff does not destroy the building. It depends on what kind of plants you're putting up there, though. Like, if you have a bunch of drought-resistant things... I think that would offset a lot of it. But yeah, you're right. It's not just as easy as, like, flipping a switch. But I feel like you could probably fit a number of, like, much lower effort plants and actually have it work out. But also, I mean, straight up, just, like, all new buildings should maybe start incorporating that sort of thing into their design. Just like how all new buildings in Florida should probably and hopefully already be somewhat hurricane resistant, and, you know, in the Pacific Northwest, maybe more fire resistant. Stuff like that. That little bit of planning goes a long way. Yeah, pave the walls of Seattle with cactus. Well, Seattle's pretty rainy, so I don't know if Seattle would need the cacti, but like Sacramento? Yeah. Like, I know you're probably joking, but like, flowering cacti can actually look really nice. I had when I was a kid, I don't know why, but my parents bought my brother and I cacti. I think my brother's cactus was totally normal. My cactus lost its shit. It was flowers all the time. And I cannot tell you why. But it was a pretty little sucker. I'm like, I doubt every cactus would be the same way, but like, I don't know. Succulents, I would say succulents would be the better option than anything else. Succulents are mostly durable, unless Shell's taking care of them, at which point they die quick. Well, I wouldn't say they die quick, but she bought this absolutely beautiful succulent. I think it was from like an IKEA in Kansas. And it held on for like a year. But what happened was like it sprouted buds along its stem, and they more or less killed it. Because I think they were supposed to detach or something. But in the end, they just starved the parents, and then the buds died. And it was just kind of a sad ordeal, because it just, like, there was no chance for any of them. She wants another. And we'll probably get her one as soon as, like, we've moved into wherever we move to next. Like, there are a lot of plants that are just, like, absolutely hardy suckers that just don't care. Planning on moving again? Yeah. Kind of. It's like, I don't want to move. I like the Pacific Northwest, but the idea of a persistent fire season taking over for, like, August and October, or August through October, is just scary. I mean, shit. Things have been on fire since June. Like, it's not even August through October. It's much more than that. It's just the area I'm in is less prone to fires until August and June. Like, you can look back on my videos from last year, and just like, what was it? I was playing a game As Far As the Eye, which was kind of a charming little game. Was that dirt? Oh yeah, there's still dirt on this tower. I can move this over here. I think I already cleaned that area. Oh, but the interior of the roof. But I recorded a series on a game called As Far as the Eye, and almost all of that was recorded either with the threat of fires coming to where I live, or the fires being, you know, X number of miles away, and me being stuck in a bedroom, getting, you know, absolutely toasted by smoke. And just, like, I don't want to have to deal with the physical, like, costs of smoke inhalation to my own health for just living in a place. And maybe it's not so bad and humans are hardier than I think they are, but, like, boy, it would be really frustrating to get, like, lung cancer later on because I live in an area that's constantly just being set on fire. The fire evacuation scares from 2020 have scarred my family. Mom practically went full prepper and freaked me out. Yeah, we've got at least half of our belongings downstairs and ready to go. Mainly just because, like, we don't need them generally. You know, these are the more, like, collector's item-y things that would be hard to replace. And then all of my computer stuff is ready to just be thrown in a car at a moment's notice. Because, yeah, if randomly the area near me catches fire and we have to evacuate, I don't want to have to be hunting through my house for, like, my birth certificate. I don't think I'll ever get to the extent that, like, some people go doomsday prepper. But I would also be perfectly comfortable potentially moving away from this area. Because I can deal with blizzards, I can deal with power outages. I can't deal with fire very well. And that smoke is from literally anything burning. It's not just wood from a forest fire. Yeah, and, like, houses burning are not good for your health. Especially, like, businesses and buildings. Like, there's a lot of not great stuff that goes into house construction nowadays. Oh, I don't know. It's a weird topic, but it's one of those things that I kind of have to, like, keep in mind. But you guys know, like, fight or flight responses, yeah? Where it, like, do you ever get that feeling where it's just like, I gotta go? You might be out and about somewhere and you just kind of get a bad feeling. And you feel like, yeah, I need to go away now. I've been getting that kind of in this general area for the last couple months, and it's bugging me. I also have, I mean, oddly enough, to my name, I get Wanderlust pretty bad sometimes when it comes to, like, oh, you know where I haven't pressure washed? Here, got it. I get Wanderlust pretty bad, and every couple of years I'm just like, yep, it's time for me to move to a new location. I've never lived in a place longer than 5.5 years. Creosote is fungicidal, cheap, and an absolute joy to pour. Admittedly, it's also profoundly toxic to humans when ingested. Swings and roundabouts. Well, that would explain some things. But yeah, I've just been getting that, like, it's time to move, finally, feeling. Oh, you know the other place? Wander has Wanderlust. Ah, I love me. I'm just gonna try and detail this from a distance instead of... this isn't so bad. It's pretty bad. Okay, what do we have? Tower, playground, floor. Boy, I'm getting close to finishing this place up. Oh, you know what? Playground floor includes this. That's why I'm not clearing it up. Okay, let's finish this first. Actually, I think I did. Cargo net. These. Alright, cool. Yeah, that was going to be the hardest spot of this area. So let's actually start working on new places. How does this handle the metal? Pretty well, actually. I had that feeling almost all the time when I was with my parents. But your parents were abusive. Yeah, that would make sense. That's weird. I guess that's kind of an odd segue for me to take hold of, but my folks are visiting in a couple of days. And it's so odd, because it's going to be like the first vacation I take since February of last year. And, you know, I was planning on just not streaming or doing any YouTube stuff the entire time that they're here. But, like, every conversation I have with them, they're like, yeah, you should stream the whole time. And I'm like, what? This is weird. I think they equally just want to see me spending time with my brother, because we don't spend enough time together. And then also, they know I work a lot, and so by, like, having me stream while they're here is gonna offset some of my workload. But just the idea of, like, kind of going on vacation and having the people I'm going on vacation with being like, you should work during this. It's like, I don't know how to think about it. I think I'm fine. It just was, like, completely different expectations than reality. May finally see your mom since I started my transition to becoming me. So happy that she will finally see the real me. Oh, congratulations. I hope she's supportive. I hope so. I had a number of friends that were trans back in the like the late 2000s and the early 2010s. I'm gonna say before it was like socially acceptable to be out about being trans. Like every single friend that I had from this time period that I met before they transitioned pretty much doesn't talk to me anymore, because there was such a feeling of like you never know who's going to like judge you or judge you or be hard on you, so it was easier to just kind of excise everybody from your life. And like when I move back east or visit back east, I need to go like out of my way to reach out to some of them, be like, hey, I know we're like not active friends anymore, but like I'm totally cool with you if you ever want to like meet up and have coffee or something like that. Because I know for a number of them, yeah, it was just such a defensive measure to effectively cut everything out of their lives. Everything and everyone. I'm like, I feel bad about that, because like I don't want to be one of those people that was cut out as kind of like a defensive measure, because no reason for me to mind. Nice part is, almost all of them I would just call by their last name. This is always an issue for me, specifically with issue. I make it sound like a negative thing, but it's like, I'm terrified of dead naming somebody, just because that would be super uncool of me. And so, like, I'm always afraid of that. But every single person I've ever met that is trans, I've never called them by their first name in the to begin with. And, like, either I call them by their last name, because they had, like, a really generic first name, or I call them by their internet handle. So it's like, half of them, if I meet them in real life, I'll never have to worry about it, because I straight up don't know what their real name is. Or their real name was before they transitioned, and, you know, unless they changed whatever their username is, I will still just call them by that, unless they want me to call them otherwise, which makes my life easier. So, has your brother played Viscera Cleanup Detail? This is making me think of that. No, he hasn't. I might... I don't think I'm going to get my brother to play Viscera Cleanup Detail with me. Mainly just because, one, that's online co-op. Two, I kind of want to do a Viscera Cleanup Detail with the Wholesomeverse. I feel like all of us working on Viscera would be really fun. And seeing as Rito got hooked on this, I might be able to convince the group to do it. That's one scary thing for me. Meeting people who have known me before my name change and username change always stresses me out. Yeah, like, I can totally understand why a lot of people post-transition would kind of want to move away from that. Interestingly enough, I don't think I really know many trans men. I think every single trans person I know was male to female. I think it's mostly just because as a dude, I know more dudes. Just baseline, and so when they transition, it's rarely female to male, just because. But the one thing that I always, like, want to do, and I don't know if it's weird or not, is to compliment them on how well they've managed to change their voice. Like, I knew one specific person that when they were a guy, they had, like, just such a fantastic deep voice, which made it really hard for them to transition their voice. And they've done such an incredible job that, like, when I hear them streaming, and, like, compare it to what they used to sound like, I'm like, these are different people. That the sheer voice control that they've managed to achieve astounds me. And I always want to compliment them on it, but I don't know how weird that would be, so I just don't say anything. I mean, that's true of a lot of things. I don't like to commentate on people's changes, because I don't know if they actually mind too much, and even if, like, somebody says, like, yeah, it's totally cool, it might not be true of the same person. And so I almost kind of just, like, everybody is what they are at their current moment, and I don't really think about who they were or what they were before, which I think is a fine policy, but it's always one of those where it's like, I want to compliment them. What can I think of? Oh, maybe not that. And then I just get kind of stuck. I only know of one MTF, and they earned Eagle Scout when they were a boy, and all the adult leaders were mad at them because they had the Eagle Scout knot on their uniform. That's gross. I never liked the adult leaders in Boy Scouts. Like, I liked being in Boy Scouts, but so many of the men that were running the leadership stuff were just awful. Either awful, uncaring, chauvinistic, just kind of abusive, or, like, actually dangerous. And, like, it would not surprise me in the slightest that there would be that kind of reaction. Same thing kind of with, like, the youth group that I went to back when I still went to church. There's one guy, I think this is what actually did it in and, like, made me finally go cold turkey and made my parents stop bothering me about it, was, there was, like, a meeting, and all the parents were, like, getting together to try and figure out how to get their kids to go to youth group more, and one of the adults was straight up talking about, like, forcing their kids to go, and they'd like it no matter, or like it no matter what, but effectively, like, you're gonna go and you're gonna like it, and you don't get any say otherwise. And this father was, like, very big on the idea of forcing all these kids to go. And, like, very clearly did not give a shit about what his son wanted, or what anybody else's kids, like, wanted or was interested in. And it was just, it was very kind of abusive-ish. To the point where, like, I wasn't at this meeting, or maybe I was at this meeting, I don't remember. I think I was at part of the meeting and then I left, but I don't remember if he said this directly to me or if it was my parents telling me about it. But it was apparently so bad that my parents were just like, yep, you never have to go back to this place ever again if they're going to have this attitude. And it was just kind of this, like, feeling of, like, wildly out of touch adults that are, like, trying to exert some kind of morality or control over an organization that does not benefit from it. And so youth group stuff had that issue a lot. Like, the permanent youth group lady was awful. Boy Scouts had that real bad. Especially when it was, like, a bunch of parents involved, too. Because we had, like, a number of terror children that just would not behave, and their parents were just worthless at keeping their kids controlled. And if, like, any kind of discipline was levied towards their kid, they would freak the hell out. So very specifically, there was one where we were having trouble with people showing up on time. And so I instituted a policy that for every minute that you were late, you had to do a push-up. And you could do the push-ups in multiple sets over the course of, over the course of the night. So if you were, like, 25 minutes late, you'd have to do, like, 5 sets of 5 push-ups. And you could use your knees. Like, I didn't give a shit. It was mostly just kind of a, like, hey, if you're going to be late, at least, you have to do kind of a something. I remember this story. Yeah. And I've told it before. I'm running out of childhood stories. I've been doing this for 8 years. Of course, I'm going to start running out. But, the policy was, if you're late, you do push-ups. And I would do them with you. Just so it wasn't, like, totally unfair. And so one guy was, like, 40 minutes late, showed up and was like, all right, I'm going to need you to take me through everything that you discussed before. And they were late because they went to a McDonald's before the meeting. And it's just like, come on. Was it a McDonald's? I don't remember what they were late for. I think it was the parent made them late. But whatever their excuse for being late was, it was not much of one. And so I was like, all right, cool. Parents, you can do the push-ups then. It was either, like, you could do the push-ups then, or, like, you and your kid can split them even, or effectively, the parent was mad because I was punishing the kid. And so I was just like, everybody does this. If I'm late, I do the push-ups. Like, it doesn't really matter what the excuse is. You should just do the push-ups, and, like, it's fair. And they were so mad that they never came back. It always just blew my mind, because this was, like, one of those bad kids that really didn't even want to be there and was forced to be there by their parent to begin with. And so the fact that, like, they were just this problematic to begin with, that me finally trying to have some level of, like, I'm not going to say responsibility levied upon the both of them, was the straw that broke the camel's back. But it was just kind of eye-opening to how petty adults could be in that exact moment. Let's see. Did they bring McDonald's for everyone? Nah, nobody ever did. Nor would I expect anybody. Like, I always found that to be kind of a ridiculous excuse. My elementary school had that policy that if it was your birthday, you had to bring things in for everybody or nobody. And I always felt weird about that. Because I had a classmate that made cupcakes purely... Or, did she make cupcakes or did her friend make cupcakes? I don't remember. But effectively, cupcakes were made for somebody's birthday, purely for her and her friends, nobody else. And it might have, I think it was made for somebody else's birthday. Like, the best friend made cupcakes for the birthday girl, and the teacher threw out the cupcakes because there wasn't enough for everybody, and therefore, people were going to get upset because it wasn't fair. That was weird. I didn't like that. That was kind of the weird reverse version of the push-ups, where it's just like, it's fair for everybody, or it's fair for nobody. I hated that teacher. This was the teacher that would waste whole classes talking about how great her dachshunds were. Sent me to the principal for doing too many math problems on, like, we had timed tests, and after, like, 2 minutes, we'd have to put our pencils down. And so what I do is just draw a line, and then keep doing the math test, because you had to do them in order, and it would start with basic addition and go up to, like, low-level algebra. And I was, like, really excited to try low-level algebra because it was actually challenging. And, we weren't graded. It was just a matter of, like, you do the test and then you recycle the paper. Mostly just to get kids used to doing math fast. But I wanted to do the hard problems, because if you did them out of order, she would get mad. And so she caught me one day for doing the math problems that I was not allowed to do. And sent me to the principal. And the principal had to try and argue with, what was this, 9-year-old me, that doing extra math problems were wrong. I always remember just being really mad about that for a while. And very confused, because it didn't make any damn sense to me. And so later when people told me that the American public school system, at the very least, was designed to teach compliance in, like, a workplace setting, and especially, like, a factory setting, I'm like, oh yeah, that's all of this stuff that I went through in school makes a lot more sense now as to why it was just utter trash. Because they weren't really trying to teach me math, they were trying to teach me compliance and math. This stego slide looks really cool. I would love to have had one of these. I'd say I would have told her off if I found out what that was about. Yeah, but I was 9. Like, the idea of talking back to adults didn't really trigger in my head for quite some time. Because, like, I don't think I was bold enough to really, like, tell anybody off until I was older. Just because it's, like, it was unthinkable to question people in authority positions. And then eventually it's just, like, realizing that none of them knew what they were doing and everything was bullshit anyway. It was just like, oh, yeah. I can just tell them off, because what are they going to do to me? Give me detention? I mean, maybe expel me, but, like, that would be ridiculous. That dino's junk is filthy. This is a dirty dino. Hey, floor's clean. Finally. I think we're almost done. 97% clean with this park. Oh. I always love saving the... I'm not going to say the easy stuff for last, but the stego slide is pretty easy to clean compared to that business. And it's kind of cathartic just going through it really quickly. Relatively quickly. I wonder if I can do the white nozzle at this point. Mostly. Okay, not here. I really wish my mouse wheel was better. So it would clean a lot of this just a little bit better. I kind of wish I could actually, like, press left click to alternate between one mode temporarily. Kind of, like, stay at this, but then I'd left click and it would go into, like, a quick power wash mode. So I don't have to just switch the head constantly. I don't mind it too much, but it would be really nice if there was kind of, like, boost mode. Alright, what do I have left? Bin. How did this trash bin get this filthy? Like, I can understand everything else, but, like, this bin's got the plague or something. Imagine a power washing anime with a tendency of anime making everything over the top. I would love that. Like, I was talking about this earlier. I want these plots to be nonsense. I want the things to be cleaning. Like, oh man, imagine, like, mecha power washing simulator, where you just have, like, a laundry list of mecha from various anime, to do bench, bin. I saved the bees for last, the best for last. Not really, but still. Like, a Gundam power washing simulator. Wouldn't make any dang sense, but it'd be funny. See, power wash, the anime sounds like Japanese over the top. Like, oh god, like the food ads they get. Have you ever seen Long Long Man? I hope everybody has seen Long Long Man. Long Long Man is fantastic. They clean all of the Power Rangers Megazords cleaning sim. Like, yeah, how great would that be? You know, maybe you have to fix the parts a little bit. You have to clean them up, put them back together, something like that. Or not even put them back together. It doesn't even matter. Just clean up. Because I don't mind cleaning benches and stuff. I just want to clean something wild. And yes, I know there's the Mars rover. We'll get to that when we get to that. Okay. Boy, this bench is hard to reach some of these spots. I guess I can get the lower sections there. There we go. And then last, but not bin. Bin. I do hope the next place that I clean doesn't have quite as many, like, tough-to-reach nooks like that. Super job on the playground, Dirt Finder. Looking at it now, I admit there have been some odd flecks of dirt here and there. And there aren't just so many colors, and it's gone. Well, that's okay. I really like these process GIFs. They're charming. It's very satisfying to seeing my work go. Okay. And aren't there just so many colors in this world? Too many, perhaps. Anyway, you've got those bleeding worry warts off my back. And for that, I cannot thank you enough. How did you let it get this bad? Alright, medium duty. Urban. X, you too. Okay. What about equipment? Urban. Turbo nozzle. Are they all just turbo nozzles? Because if they're just turbo nozzles, I don't know if I care. We might want to consider getting, like, the long extension, but nah. I almost kind of wish I could just put points into upping their stats, like, even further. Power washing sports anime animated by Trigger. Can you imagine? Oh, man. Wait. Okay. Power washing sports anime, but you know in, Super Mario Sunshine... Holy shit, that's why this game is so cool. It's everything I like about Super Mario Sunshine, but without the bullshit void dimension jumping puzzles. But like, imagine if the grime, like, grew monsters, so they had to fight the monsters, but also power wash the buildings, the mecha, running on walls, doing flips, explosions, and some kind of nonsense, over-the-top plot to go along with it all. Oh, that'd be good.